Three, two, one. Broadcasting tape delayed from somewhere in New York City where the head of everything is. The Sports Economy Show is on. I'm Bill, this is JP, and we're here to pump you up. Today's show is about the college conferences. You know really what to call this thing, the realignment college, whatever it is. We did a show a few months back about the TV contracts and how much these conferences are getting. And today's show, like I said, we're going to talk about this realignment thing. It's been 1 year since the Pac-12 10-2 has fell apart, and these teams went and got the best deal they can get. Did you know that Stanford is now in the ACC, JP?
Yeah, I do, but I continuously forget when I see Stanford playing UNC, and I go, why are they playing each other? You know, or the other one that always gets me is Cal.
Yeah.
You know, because
University of California.
When you think of the Atlantic Coast, you think of Cal and Stanford.
Wait, Cal's in the ACC?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, see?
Yes. When you think Atlantic Coast Conference, you no longer think Maryland. You no longer think Miami. No, you think Cal.
Right. That's right. You know, although Miami is still in the ACC.
Yes, for now. Miami and Florida State are in the ACC for now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got a couple of notes here I want to read.
All right.
As of 2025, the term Power 5 has evolved into Power 4, which includes Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC, the Big Ten Conference, also known as the Big. You want to hear my little song about the Big? I'll sing it in a second. The Big 12, the only team that I know that's still in the Big 12 is Kansas. I think Kansas State's still there too. The Southeastern Conference, which keeps getting bigger every year, and the Pac, whatever it is. So anyway, I think it's only down to 2 original members. So remember, this is the Big, the song. From coast to coast, from border to border, from sea to shining sea, the Big is on. Because they just keep calling it the same thing. See, the only place that has a good moniker is the SEC, because they don't have a number attached to it.
Right. Well, in the ACC,
yes, the ACC, yeah, they can get
technically they're not, you know.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, but remember, folks, all your Pac-12 games are on the CW. So tune in to the CW every Saturday to watch your Pac-12 football, because that benefits us. Yes, it does. In a roundabout way, it's a good idea for
back.
You folks to watch the CW. Anyway, so what I got here is also the ACC, SEC, Big 12, and Big 10, which is the Big, like I said. And there's one school. You know that one school that has its own TV contract?
Yes, Notre Dame.
That's right. Don't ever forget.
Well, okay, but technically, Notre Dame is a part of the ACC, just not in football.
Yes, they're other sports. Football is a whole different thing. Why is football? Because football is the revenue generator.
Well,
you got football, and you have men's basketball, and then everything else is off the screen down
here. Right. And, I mean, you know, Notre Dame, technically, okay, to our generation and older, right?
Yeah.
Notre Dame is like the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
You know, they put asses in the seats, right? Now, to, you know, kids that are in college now, they give a damn about a Notre Dame. They don't know what the tradition of Notre Dame is. Notre Dame hasn't won the championship since they've been alive, you know. So But right now, for television ratings, Notre Dame still has their contract with NBC, and that is a major, major uh, coup for them.
Yeah.
So they are not going to eliminate that and go to a conference. They would lose money if they did that, even though most conferences earn a lot more money
Yeah.
uh, by joining
But
a conference.
they have to divide it up. So Notre Dame is
Right.
keeping
So
that
they won't
money.
do it.
Yeah.
They won't join for football. And, the ACC was stupid enough to agree to that and say, well, we'll just take your other sports. In those other sports, Notre Dame hasn't helped them one bit. The
Nope.
basketball teams won a little bit, but not much.
Yeah. Not much. So anyway, but TV money has changed it all. And my guess is the reason the two conferences, the Big and the SEC, are eventually going to absorb everything is because as a TV executive, it's easier for you going and talking to one or two people about your TV contract as opposed to dealing with 10, 12 different people and whatever issues they got.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
So it's easy just to call up the commissioner of the SEC and the Big 12 and say, hey, let's have a meeting with 4 people, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
well, here's what I'll say is it really is starting to become survival of the fittest. Once Texas and Oklahoma left for the SEC, and then USC and UCLA and Oregon left for the Big Ten, you basically took their top teams. Like Stanford and Cal, they just needed a place to go. So the ACC took them, But really, what has always been is Texas and Oklahoma have been the two teams that have basically been the top dogs of the Big 12. And they left and went to the SEC.
Yeah.
Oregon, USC have dominated college football in the Pac 10. And now they are in the Big 10. And basically, the Pac 10 knew once those teams left, that was it. They couldn't survive. So now those teams, those other schools have just, separated to the other conferences.
Yeah.
So basically, what it boils down to is eventually the SEC and the big, this is just my personal opinion. And it may not happen in my lifetime, right? But I think it may.
It will. It will.
I think it may, because eventually a lot of teams are not going to be able to handle being in a conference with 16 to 18 schools, right?
Yeah.
Like what does Vanderbilt do? Vanderbilt struggles, right?
Uh-huh.
Although
they have won a couple of games recently.
I think they may be in the I think they may be the top 20 in the top 25 right now.
Yeah.
Right? But okay, let's just say Wake Forest in the ACC. Wake Forest in the ACC has not won anything in forever, right? The only time they're still holding on to having Tim Duncan in the 1990s.
1996.
Right? That's right.
Yes.
They had a good team once upon a time, right? When you have schools like that and they're in these big conferences, eventually they become the team that just becomes the stepchild. And you have schools that are like Gonzaga in basketball, who completely dominate, and JMU, who completely dominate. And those schools will eventually get to a point where they get good enough nationally that these big conferences will want to start bringing them in. And those schools like Wake Forest and, piddly little schools who won't be able to handle being
Virginia
in
Tech.
a large conference, they will drop to the side and they will go to the lesser conferences because the lesser conferences will gladly accept them because they've been in a bigger conference.
Yeah.
So that's the way it all plays out. And I think eventually it's going to be all the good schools from the four major conferences. Miami, Florida State will probably be in the SEC. And in the what are the Big 12 good schools right now? Kansas State,
As
uh,
far as far as football goes,
Colorado. If Colorado gets better,
yeah,
those schools may go to the Big Ten.
yeah,
As one of those schools from the Big Ten may drop out. It's just the way it goes. You know, you get depending on what coaches go to what schools. Things change. You
hmm,
know, like Colorado has been relevant since the '90s, and then Dion comes there
yeah.
and he brings some kind of status. So who knows what this school will do?
Well, I do know this: for the Big Ten to kick Northwestern out, that ain't going to go well. There's
No.
there's going to be lawyers involved, and it's not
Yeah.
going to go well.
Oh, right.
So I see what you're saying, and things like that probably should happen, but I don't. It's not going to, because schools like Vanderbilt or Northwestern or what do you say, Minnesota in the Big Ten, they're not going to go willingly.
No.
Because that TV
No.
money is worth something to them.
But okay, the one thing about all the expansion for the conferences, and I think a lot of people don't really. It's all about the money,
Yes.
right? It's all about the money. But if you take, I'm going to give you two examples from when we were growing up. Penn State and Nebraska, when we were coming up,
Were big deals.
kids,
Yeah.
teenagers, to early adults for us. Those two schools were in the hunt for the national championship every year.
Yeah.
Penn State won a couple, Nebraska won a couple, right?
Yeah.
They were really dominant teams, and they always were this close to winning or they won it, right? Yeah. Guess how many championships Penn State has won since being in the Big Ten, since joining the Big Ten in the 90s?
None. They won them all when they were independent school. Penn State was an independent school.
That's right. And now the playoffs, college football playoffs, started in 2014.
Yeah.
How many times do you think Penn State has been in the playoffs?
Oh, since 2014?
Yes.
I'm going to say twice.
Once. And that was last year.
It was close.
And that was last year
yeah.
when they expanded the playoffs.
Yeah.
So in Nebraska, they joined the Big Ten in, I think, 2011. I have to get my dates right.
It was that far back?
Let me see. I wrote it down. Nebraska joined, 2011.
Wow.
Right?
I thought it was like 2014 or 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Nebraska joined the Big Ten in 2011.
Yeah.
The playoffs started in 2014. Nebraska has not been in the playoffs since they have joined the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So the whole point that I'm coming to is when you expand and you play against better competition, because there are more good teams in your conference, you don't dominate.
No.
You don't have an opportunity to play for the championship because you get knocked out in the regular season.
Yeah.
So eventually your status changes. It's just like I was saying with Notre Dame. To our people our age or older, they still look at Notre Dame with a certain level of respect.
But since 2000, Notre Dame has not been viable for anything.
Since the 90s. They haven't, since Lou Holtz.
Yeah, since Lou Holtz.
Yeah, Jerome Bettis and them. They haven't won since. They have had good teams, but they're very much like my Steelers. They get there, But then when they play against the big boys like Alabama and Ohio State and Texas, they can't compete. They just aren't good enough. They don't have the talent to beat those teams. So what I'm saying is, you remember when Texas played USC in the championship with
Vince Young as quarterback
and
against
USC
Matt Leinart
was going for a second title, and they had Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, and the whole team was full of pro players, and nobody gave Texas a chance because Texas didn't play a schedule like USC, and they weren't glamorous like USC. But you know what they did? They had one chance in that one game, and they were able to beat USC. But if they played 4 times, they probably would have lost 3 of those games, right? Yeah. So, but for one night, they won. And so that's what I'm saying. Teams used to get a chance to win those championships. Ohio State had a chance to beat Miami when Miami had, 20 first rounders on the team, right?
Yeah.
Because that one night they beat them. But if they play now, Miami might not even make it to that position because they have to play so many good teams in a division. Or if you're in a conference where you have to play that team or a number of teams that are just as good as that team, you may not have the opportunity to do that. And that's
so what you're saying. What you're saying here is this has become just like the NFL.
Yeah.
In the NFL, if you only lose 3-4 games, you had a great season. College used to, if you lost 1 game, you were in trouble. Now, it's up, since the playoffs are going to be 16 teams probably pretty soon, you can lose 2 to 3 games and still make it to the top of the conference.
Yeah. And I will say the 12-team expansion gives more people the opportunity to win.
Yeah.
But it's not a 1-game scenario, 1 or 2 game scenario. You have to win multiple games now.
Yeah. Well, the SEC, you can lose 2 games and still get to the championship game, of the conference championship game.
Yeah, now
you can. Before, you couldn't. If you could lose 1 game, but that was it. Now you could lose 2. I think Tennessee lost 2 games last year and still got to be in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. And so then you have to play somebody, and they usually put you up against somebody like Ohio State.
They lost to Ohio State. They had to go to Ohio State. Hey, but that's just the way it is. The best teams get the best draws.
That's right. So, but okay. Like, I looked at the top 25. You want to know how many top 25 teams are from the 4 big conferences?
Out of the top 25, 4 big, I will say 18.
24. And get this, it's 24, and the one team that's not is Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
So basically, all 25 teams in the top 25 are from the 4 major conferences.
Yes.
Of course, the SEC has the most. They have like 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so, the Big Ten, they literally cover the entire country. So I don't know. How many teams are in the Big Ten?
The Big 30? Ten has 18 teams.
18 teams. All
right.
right.
Yeah. The ACC, the Big Ten have 18, and the Big 12 and the SEC have 16 teams.
Wow.
That is a lot.
Yeah, I don't see how those conferences can get bigger. So, I don't know. I tell you what, the more money they throw at them, the more they'll figure out a way to absorb more teams.
I think the next thing that we may be talking about is, how is the TV market going to change college football once you get off of network TV?
Is
the money going to change? Like, right now, everything is still on network TV, right?
Oh, yeah.
The ratings are massive. right? For the main games, the ratings are massive. But when it gets to a point in 10 years, because ain't nobody gonna be watching regular TV in 10 years, right? Except old people, right? And all of us old people talking about, we can remember when gas was less than $1, right?
Yes.
But anybody like 30 and younger, they're not going to be watching it, right? They're going to be watching it if it's streamed. So when you start the streaming, it's going to be dispersed. And the
what
ratings
happens
won't
is
be
your audience are fanatics, and it's small.
That's right.
Whereas when it's on network TV, you can have, picture in picture. I think YouTube TV, you can get 4 or 6.
Yeah.
You can go to, have all this stuff, but YouTube TV isn't going to have all your streaming.
Now look, the networks and cable providers are clinging on to live sports like it is, it's the only love that they have.
It is the content generating thing that brings them the most money.
Yeah, it's like
not
being
Big Brother.
It's like being married to the woman that came from a wealthy family. Hey, I'm not losing this. I'm not losing this. I'm not gonna mess this up. You're doing everything you can to stay in that relationship, right? And that's what live sports are to network TV. Because once they're gone,
it's over.
It's over.
You got reruns of Friends. That's it.
Golden Girls.
Man, that's a Wayback Machine there.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, that's all I got for now.
So, yeah, me too.
I think we've pretty much beat this subject to death, just like your average sports talk radio station. Just beat this subject to death. Next week, we're going to talk about the offensive line for the Indianapolis Colts for 30 minutes, folks. Hey. No, just kidding. Remember, folks, like and subscribe, because we need $1 gazillion just because we need $1 gazillion.
So, it would be nice to have.
It would be nice. So long, everybody.
So long, everybody.